This is section 2. Mummy, where did I come from? In this lecture, we are going to have the big question answered. Mummy, where did I come from? I would like to share with you my story. I don't think any parent will escape this question. I can still remember the day when I asked about my beginning. It feels like yesterday. Our family had gotten into the car, and just as my dad ignited the engine, the big question was popped. Mummy, where did I come from? Of course, my older sister started giggling. Mum and Dad looked at each other in a bit of a shock for this unexpected question. And then my dad did something very interesting. He told me, "Well, we went to the mountains and we caught you there. You were still a little monkey, so we took you home, shaved you, cut off your tail, and put on some nice clothes, and then you became our baby." I didn't really believe them. That sounded just too far away from my imagination, but that was the story that was told me, so that settled it. I came from the mountains. Then afterwards, I heard from my other little friends that they came from different places. Some came from the hospital. Their parents brought them there. I don't know how they got there, though. Others were brought by the stork. It was quite an amazing story to hear where everybody came from. That reminds me of a story that I heard a long time ago of this little boy. Let's just call him Johnny. He was sitting in class and he heard a very interesting story, and then he went home, and as he got home he asked his dad, "Daddy, where did I come from?" Well, this dad was prepared, so he took little Johnny outside and he told him in detail all the facts of life, the bees and the birds and everything. As Johnny was listening, his eyes just got bigger and bigger, and when his dad finished, he said, "Now, Daddy, that is very interesting. We got a new boy in our class today, and he came from Johannesburg." So the dad realized that was not quite what he was supposed to tell his boy. But let me tell you, before you know, this question is going to be popped, and you will have to answer it, because your kids would love to know, where did they come from? Let us look at the real origin of that little baby, that little life, who is going to be part of your life very, very soon from now on. You and everybody else on this earth, and that little one, was actually created before the foundation of the earth. And I'm going to share with you what the Bible tells us about the true origin of each one of us. In Ephesians 1 verse 4, from the Amplified Classic Bible, we read, "Even as in His love He chose us, He actually picked us out for Himself as His own, in Christ before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy," that means consecrated and set apart for Him, "and blameless in His sight, even above approach before Him in love." Did you see this? He actually picked us out for Himself as His own. Jeremiah 1 verse 5 from the New Living Translation. "I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as my prophet to the nations." Even before God forms your baby, He already knows him or her. Before He formed you in your mother's womb, He knew you. And God's dream for any one of us started before the foundation of the world, before we were even formed in the womb of our mothers. God has such a big dream for our lives. And that little one that you are going to hold into your arms very soon, God has a special dream for that one. And He knew that little baby even before you even thought of starting your family. Psalm 139, verse 13 to 17 from the Amplified Bible. For you formed my innermost parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I'm sure by this time you know that the one who created that little one is God Himself. He formed that one. He formed you. He formed your spouse. He knit us together in our mother's womb. I will give thanks and praise to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. Please take notice of this. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and so is your little baby. Wonderful are your works. David cries out. He was thinking of himself. Maybe he was even looking at himself. But he didn't see all his flaws. He didn't see all the things that he didn't like in his own body. He saw further. He saw God. He saw what God saw when He created him. And therefore David could cry out, when I look at myself, I realize that I am wonderfully and fearfully made. Your works, O God, are wonderful. What does that say about you? What does it say about your baby? It says that you are the work of God's hands, wonderfully made, wonderfully created, according to His special plan and purpose. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being formed in secret and intricately and skillfully formed, as if embroidered with many colors in the depths of the earth. We're going to speak about this verse in one of the next lectures. Your eyes have seen my unformed substance, and in your book were all written, the days that were appointed for me, when as yet there was not one of them even taking shape. God knows you. He knows your beginning, He knows your end, and He knows everything in between. And when you look at that little one in your arms, you can rest assured and know that God knows that little one. He has a plan and a purpose for your baby. How precious also are your thoughts to me, O God. How vast is the sum of them. God's thoughts for you, God's thoughts for your little one, are much bigger than you can ever imagine. I really want to urge you, stop listening to the lies of the enemy when he tells you that you are no good, that you are worth nothing. Let me tell you a little secret regarding conception. Conception is in fact a very rare event. Each month, only a single little egg matures inside a woman's body, and that egg stays alive for about 24 hours. In a man's body, in the contrast, he produces millions and millions of sperm. And when he releases those sperm, at least 40 million sperm are set free. And they've got only one purpose in mind, finding and fertilizing that one little egg in the woman's reproductive system. I don't know if you've ever watched some kind of marathon. In South Africa, we've got a Comrades Marathon. Now just imagine standing all alone, and the next moment all the runners take off in your direction and with one goal in mind, to get you. That is what happens with conception. That little sperm only needs to travel 7 to 10 centimeters, but it could take from half an hour up to several days to complete the journey. Luckily, the sperm can stay alive for 3 to 5 days, but then they die. Only a couple of hundred of them will eventually get close to the egg. Some might even travel in the wrong direction. choosing the wrong fallopian tube and just die on their way. But a wonderful thing happens next. Although millions of sperm are in race with one single goal in mind, finding one little egg, only the cleverest, fastest sperm with the best detective skills will find the egg and reach the final destination successfully. The moment a sperm meets the egg, it immediately starts to penetrate the egg and fertilization results. Directly after penetration, the protein coating around the egg changes, and then it is as though a trespassers will be prosecuted sign is erected. No other sperm will be able to penetrate that egg. The winner takes it all. Mummy is pregnant. What a wonderful, wonderful story. The winner takes it all. Next time when you look at yourself, when you look at your spouse, when you look at that little bundle of love in your arms, your little baby, remind yourself, remind all of those around you, you are a winner from the start. How else? You were created by God, the God of the universe. Remember, you are destined for greatness. Now it is time for our next pit stop. And the challenge is, Mummy, where did I come from? Study the Bible verses that I've given you, and I want you to form a very clear picture in your mind what the true origin of your baby is. You can go and look up those verses again, Ephesians, Jeremiah, and Psalms. And then the next challenge is, start to picture what you will tell your kids one day when they pop the big question, Mummy, Daddy, where did I come from? Then in the next lecture, we are going to see how God views your kids. I will see you there just now.